In this episode of Tiny Tool Shed, I'm going to get all of this timber here up off the floor and stored. So in the previous episode, I cleared off this wall, patched it up, gave it a nice lick of paint, and now the wall is looking fresh, ready to go for the installation of my new lumber rack. So I jumped onto SketchUp and started designing a few ideas for a lumber rack build. Prerequisite was that I wanted to keep it as simple as possible, not be too bulky. A lot of lumber racks you see on YouTube, I have to say they're almost over-engineered. After racking my brain for a while, I come up with this solution. Plywood is actually quite strong because it's laminated with the grain going in various directions. So if you take the ply, glue it together with more ply, you're actually creating a really strong piece of framework that'll support a lot of weight. I wanted to make the most of the space, so I've designed it so the lumber rack takes up the entire width of the wall. To minimise dust, I've put the table saw outside, and using my cut list, I've cut all the pieces I require. For the smaller pieces, I'll just cut those down using the miter saw. So here's all the pieces laid out ready to go, and I've created a production line. For keen viewers out there, you might recognise the ladder I'm using here as my workbench.
Push the button and that releases it, and then after you let go, it locks firmly in place. So really, you're all set. And this is tough.
It is.
Listen, give you an example. Say you have you have to get up on the wall, high ceiling, vault the ceiling. Hey, listen, just walk right up. And I tell you, it's very safe, it's durable, and
Carol,
it's lightweight.
You're scaring me.
So really, see,
Wow.
now it's locked in place. Okay. So really, you say.
Oh, God, Harold, are you okay?
Actually, I didn't have it locked. You have to lock it. Once you lock it, you're okay.
That never gets old. I've set up the workbench with this additional piece of timber along the back. This brace will help when laminating the ply together to ensure it's all square. My old man always told me, glue is stronger than screws. So as we laminate these pieces of ply together, ensure the surface is completely covered with glue and there's plenty of it. The nails are not structural or for strength, they're purely to hold the pieces together while the glue dries. The use of a speed square isn't essential, but it'll definitely help to ensure your arms are level and all your laminations are square. One thing to note, if you're going to nail this together, ensure you leave spacing to be able to drill holes for your mounting screws to go through. Last thing you want to do is be drilling through nails. It's important that we get these clamped and clamped quickly. Use braces so you get a nice even clamp surface. So with the double arm racks completed, I move on to the assembly of the singles. This all went pretty quickly, and I have to say I'm pretty happy with how everything looks so far. It's really important to have a nice flat surface for your rack to mount to the wall. So if we're having a look here, you can see it's slightly uneven. So what I'm going to do is use this extremely dodgy plane setup that I have here. Safety first, but it works. And I'm just going to do a couple of passes, one from top to bottom, one from bottom to top. And as we can see, it turned out really well. Next up, I'm just going to measure it out and mark up my hole locations for the mounting screws. So something I should have done before I marked the holes was just trim the lengths to get everything the same. Now I'm drilling the countersunk holes with a spade bit. Unfortunately I struggled and I couldn't get to the middle hole because of the 3 handles on the drill press. But, easy solution, just remove the handle. Then I drill the holes for the mounting screws. I also stuffed up too, and this was probably the most frustrating and annoying thing that I did wrong. I should have sanded all the bits and pieces prior to assembly. Because I have to say, trying to sand them as an assembled rack like this was near on impossible, but I did get there in the end and have to say I'm really happy with how it looks. Next was the tedious process of finding the studs. Thankfully I had this stud finder so it wasn't too bad. Most importantly here, don't just mark where you think the stud is, mark the edge of the studs. That way when you drill your holes for your screws, you know that you're going to get a good binding hold within the timber. Then a little trick which made life really easy was to actually clamp the level to each rack. That allowed me to keep a hand free, nice and easy, and then I could just mark the screw holes and then I'm ready to drill it out from there. I'm actually using 125mm 14 gauge batten screws. Depending on the depth of your stud, if they were 4x2s in the wall, you could easily go to 150mm batten screw. So once it's all done, just double check it for plumb. Now we'll use this rack to work our way along the wall and find plumb as we work along. Ideally for a job like this, you'd want a laser level. I don't have one, but I'm just going to use a level. Great success. 80 kgs. Alright, 85. Let's be honest. 85. I then moved on and mounted the single racks, and I have to say clearance was absolutely perfect with the roller door track. The lumber rack turned out perfect and looks exactly like my SketchUp drawing. Is it just me or did this pile of timber grow? Anyway, I have no idea how I'm going to get this up there, and these other additional bits too. So I started hanging the timber, and I have to say it was a bit of a juggling process and reshuffling until I managed to get everything to fit, but I got it all up there, much to my surprise, and it is fantastic. It doesn't even look like budging. Overall, I am ecstatic at how this turned out. It's my first little project and it is a great step in the right direction. So is it strong? Yes. It handled 85 kilos, no dramas whatsoever. Would I have done it any differently? I have to say no, it's perfect. It's light, it was cheap to make. Why you would use lumps of 4x2 or steel or anything like that to store this kind of hardwood, I don't know. This is a simple solution that anyone can build. You don't even have to have a table saw. If you had to, you could rip it down with a power saw. But yeah, highly recommended. Looking for a cheap, easy solution to get your lumber off the floor? This is it.